The year is 1939, New York City, in a time where delinquency is at an all-time high. The Spider-Man is the only one who can save the people, but unfortunately, Spider-Man disappears and is now presumed dead. Shortly after this, a shadowy, spider-like man appears, and now the people have hope again. At the start of the story, we see a more mature Spider-Man observing the city and waiting for an opportunity to save the day. That opportunity arrives as we see Spider-Man in a new light. Not only does he swing from webs still, but he now carries a gun. After spotting a high-speed chase, Spider-Man then dives in and blasts the windshield to pieces before any further damage can be done to the city. A shocking twist in this comic is the fact that Peter and Jameson now work together and have a fairly decent friendship. As the story progresses, Peter and Jameson are investigating the scene of a murder. The young damsel's name is Holly Babson. At the scene of her murder, she was clinching this weird beetle-shaped piece of jewelry. Peter and Jameson go their separate ways, and the next panel takes us to Aunt May's home. It's her birthday, so Peter and Mary Jane figure they go by and celebrate with her. But quickly, Peter brings forth the information on the woman who was murdered. This brings pain to Mary Jane as we find out that Holly worked for Mary Jane. After seeing this much pain of Mary, Peter then leaves in order to solve the murder. Peter begins to follow clues that led him to the victim's sister. Peter relays the news to her, and as expected, this deeply troubled the sister. During the conversation, it's revealed that the stone that was in Holly's hand belonged to a Dr. Heinrich Hellstorm. Peter leaves and begins to play all of this information over in his head. Peter ends up at Aunt May's house, but unfortunately, this would turn bad. Mary Jane walks up, but behind her is the same guy who was following Peter in the library. The perpetrator drops a flashbang and stuns Peter and MJ. After the criminals run off, Peter, MJ, and Aunt May gather themselves together. In this moment, after a talk with Aunt May, Peter decides that he'll take on the case and travel a great distance with Homer in order to solve this murder mystery. Peter and Homer finally make it to their destination and are prepared to take on this case. One thing that stands out is the relationship between Peter and Homer. There is a brief moment where their hands meet, and you can see that it throws Peter off guard. Over the next few pages, Peter and Homer arrive at the party where see a man following them. As the night goes on, Peter's spider senses have gone off, and now he's on a hunt to find Homer. Peter finds Homer, but the reunion is cut short when the stalkers ambush Peter and attempt to steal the jewel. Immediately, Peter throws on his mask and chases the criminals all across the city. After fighting off the criminals, Peter and Homer continue their search, this time for a young pilot who can take Tacta to their proper destination. After finding her, we as the readers can see that they're both being followed by more criminals. After a long flight to Berlin, Spider-Man and Homer arrived in Berlin where they see the unexpected. Before going into the building to search it, Dr. Heinrich is laying on the floor, dead, and to make things worse, we're finally introduced to our first enemy, Electro. This concludes issues 1 and 2 of Spider-Man Noir. I like the approach of exploring everything first and then introduce major villains. Something in this story just clicks and I love it. Hopefully you all enjoyed this broadcast. This has been Comic Law, and I'll see you next round.